Kia ora koutou katoa, nau mai hara mai ki te ao Hākinakina, your sports show right here on your Tribal Pulse, Te Kore Mako o Taranaki, 94.8 FM and 98.4 FM. This week, whānau, we are joined by a man who has had an incredible journey in rugby league and beyond, from his early days in Foxton to playing over 180 NRL games for clubs like the Warriors, the Dragons and the West Tigers, also representing New Zealand internationally, and now making an impact off the field through education and community work. His story is one of resilience and transformation. Russell Packer, thank you for joining us. No mai ora, my brother.
Kia ora, cuz. Kia ora, kia ora. Thanks for having me. And kia ora whānau. Ko Russell Packer tuku ingoa, he uri ahau, no Te Awa, Ngāti Koia me Ngāti Apa. He mihi nui kia koutou e whakarongo mai ana. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Awesome, cuz. Hey, good to have you on the show. Been excited about this one. You got an amazing journey to share with our whānau that are all tuning in. Now, before we get started, a bit about yourself, where you were brought up. So can you tell us a little bit about your early days in Foxton and how rugby league kind of became part of your life?
Yeah, obviously, I was born and raised in Te Awa, Foxton. Spent most of my life there. Moved around a fair bit. Spent a bit of time down south and moved around a little bit within Foxton and Foxton Beach. But yeah, born and raised there. Most of my whānau there, and small country town. Like most towns outside of the big cities, it's propped up by sports and community. And I was, like most kids in rural New Zealand, I wanted to be an All Black from a young age. Went through the Foxton Rugby Club. Shout out to the Foxton Rugby Club and everyone pushing that through. Over 150 juniors playing sports. The brothers have just won back-to-back premierships in the senior A grade, and more importantly, got our whānau in Foxton, committed and moving with sports. So yeah, that was my lifeblood. Playing rugby was my jam. Manawatu College, first 15, thought I was going to try and get a scholarship to one of the Super 8 or the schools that play in the Premier comps, and found the love for rugby league. Played one trial game. David Lomax and the Lomax brothers, Tony, got me into league when I was a kid, 14, 15 years old, and basically never looked back, cuz.
Wow. Well, now, I believe you were playing Prems at a young age, and you even used to come up here to Taranaki quite a bit. Tell us a little bit about that journey around that age, son.
Yeah. Well, there was a bit of a taki with playing rugby league. Obviously, in Foxton, it's kind of frowned upon, especially when you're good at rugby. Very similar to most towns, especially 20 odd years ago, cuz. So, quite a number of us were actually training with the Levin Lions, coached by David Lomax, and school and all of our rugby coaches caught wind of it and called a big hui, and they basically said, stop doing that, you need to play rugby. And I just said, oh, well, I'm out, I'm going to go play league. It's I like it better. And yeah, so started playing in the Western Alliance in 2005 for the Levin Lions. The year before that, I went and watched the game for some of the uncles playing for the mighty Foxton Rebels against the Martin Bears, and they were short of numbers, so I jumped in there, and yeah, just a country kid that grew big quite quickly, so could mix it up with the men. And yeah, so from 15 years old, I was playing in the Western Alliance comp and going all up and down the west coast, Waitara Bears, Maris Bell Block, Hawara, Kia ora, up in Linton, and all the way down to Whititera and Otaki with all the cousins down there. So
awesome. Well, you must have been doing something right, because it didn't take too long, and you ended up in a Warriors jumper. What was it like breaking into the NRL with the Warriors at such a young age?
Yeah, I guess I was pretty determined from a young age. Yes, once I started playing rugby league, I was kind of an outsider in the New Zealand system, to be honest, because going back to when I was 15, I had never played age grade, and David Lomax rang up someone at the NZRL and said, give this boy a trial for the New Zealand under-16s, and see how I went up and didn't know anyone, basically just, as I do, go as hard as I can and give everything I got, and I was selected into that team. And then the year after, that kind of put me on the map with the recruiters and stuff. And yeah, then Tony Ero and Ivan and that came down and signed me up when I was 16 years old. So, you know, it was pretty whirlwind, to be honest. I was like still at high school, signed this contract, and I was just like, I did put all my eggs in the rugby league basket, you know. I was just like, oh, I left school early. I was in 7th form when I was 16, and I was just like, oh, I'm going to leave school early. I was actually the head boy of Manawatu College, and they're like, you should finish the year, but I don't know. I just believed that I would flourish in rugby league, so I just left and pursued that with a passion.
Wow, well, you went on to some pretty awesome experiences there at the Warriors. What was the grand final experiences like? You know, when you look back, what was that like, you know, playing in the 2011 grand final?
Yeah. Again, I was just a boy still, really. Well, I was a boy, 21 years old. Just to go back before the grand final, like, you know, quite a lot of us made our debuts when we were 18, 19 years old at the Warriors, which is really young, especially in the front row. So by the time we got to that grand final, a lot of us had been, you know, I'd played first grade that was my fourth year in first grade. So we were quite experienced, but we were still really young, if that makes sense. And you know, typical stuff that young men do, young boys do. We loved a good time. We loved to have a drink up and all of that. And you know, it was kind of a different era back in. It doesn't seem that long ago, but you know, back in 2011, we were. Not everyone had an iPhone, or you know, and a lot of things were different. So I kind of during my career, I started when. Obviously, I was 17. Some of my teammates, like Ruben, and that they were twice my age. They were my age now, and I was their teammate. And so I kind of got I got the back end of the older generation from the 90s, like Rubes and all that, and then played through, you know, evolution of technology with GPS tracking came in, and you know, technology has just really changed the way that we watch the game, that we play the game, and everything. So yeah, but that grand final experience, we just, I don't know. I just thought we were going to make it all the time, and thought, oh well, like was gutted that we lost. But just even our run like that year, if you look at our team, we were like, we lost our first 3 games, then we'd get on runs. We were just a young team, and kind of during that year too, the club decided to part ways with Ivan, and so it was quite a big year. But just as Ivan's proved time and time again, he's really, you know, he's the best at developing talent where they are, and like we had good juniors from 2008, 9, 10, and the seeds of all of that mahi were starting to come to fruition, and that's when you get a good core group of young players that have come together in a club, and you know, you just need a couple of tough losses, I guess, to harden yourself and then prepare to go. So we obviously didn't get another crack at it, and basically after that, quite a lot of people moved on, and from that kind of 2011 team, and ended up in different places. But yeah, I'm still backing the Warriors and Webby, and you know, can't wait till they raise a premiership trophy sky high. That'll be a day for the country.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think they're too far off getting close. What an awesome achievement in 2011 to get there. Make sure to stay tuned. I know we're going to be back to talk with Russ soon on his international duties representing the Kiwi jersey, so make sure to stay tuned. Kia ora koutou, welcome back to Te Ao Hākinakina. We're here with Russell Packer having a good old kōrero about his amazing journey. Now, what did it mean for you to wear the Kiwi jersey, bro, and represent New Zealand? This must have been a big thing for you and your whānau.
Yeah, it was. Like I've always been patriotic, like watching the All Blacks growing up and just supporting our nation, our country. We're so small in the world, but we bat above our weight. And in 2011, when I made my debut, Mooks was the coach, and we'd just come off the grand final, and so I was kind of in game prep and got pulled into the squad and made my debut up there in Newcastle. And again, I was 21 years old at the time, so it's just so young. Like we just had our first baby, and my daughter's 15 years old now, so this kind of puts it into perspective when you have children. It's just like how much time's actually got a few more grey hairs in this beard than I don't think couldn't even grow a beard back then. So it's just like I was so proud to represent not only myself, my whānau, but all of the people that helped me to be in that position, from David and Tui, all of the people involved in Levin Lions, the Central Falcons, all of our Warriors under 20s, the Auckland Vulcans, and rugby league is just really whānau. It's a big community, and it's a very, very small community, and you can't have success without having that support. So I was just really grateful to be able to represent our beautiful country. And we didn't get the win, like the boys are winning a lot more now. But just to get on the field, I was really grateful, and
beautiful.
Cherish those moments.
100% cherish those moments. Not many get the opportunity to do it, but you've done it, and it's amazing. Now, you've faced some tough moments in your career. How did you find strength to rebuild after these setbacks?
No, I've been through, some challenges, quite a lot of them brought on by myself and my behaviour, drinking and drugs and, violent stuff. I guess some of my upbringing around dealing with things allowed me to kind of channel that in the rugby league realm, but then also, brought some challenges with it off the field. So, for those that are unaware of my story, I ended up in jail whilst I was in Australia. I was 23 years old when I went to jail, and all of my own doing, and lessons that have been learnt, in those circumstances, I believe have allowed me to be in the position that I am today. So those, I guess, adversity gives you the opportunity to build resilience and character, and that's the way that I see it. Even though it was remarkably hard for my whānau, my wife and my two babies that were so young. I was so young. I was very immature and selfish at the time, which on the whole, most 22, 23-year-old, red-blooded males are making decisions that they wouldn't when they're 36. So that's just life, cuz. And, a lot of us grow up in environments where, we quite a lot of, volatile and violent behaviours are normalised, and that was the case for myself. So, it's definitely was a changing point and a turning point in my life. I guess I'd always had issues, but never big enough to blow up. And I just think, without my whānau support, my wife's whānau, her parents, my dad, my sisters, it's having people around you that can be honest with you too when you're not doing the right thing, and then also be there to offer you, as you move forward. And especially changing is hard, especially breaking old habits and bad habits, which I've gone through, in my life with drugs and alcohol, and doing anger management courses and utilizing counseling services and all of that. It's it relatively new for me, like a country boy kind of that old school kind of ethos. But yeah, it's all part of mine and my whānau's journey. And people often ask me would I change anything, and I just don't think, that we should. It is how it's meant to be, and these are why the people that we are today. That's kind of how I see it. So yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for sharing, some of those things, some of those struggles that you've been through, to show the reality, of even our NRL superstars go through stuff as well. So make sure to stay tuned. I know we're back to talk more with Russell about how much culture means to, and some of the awesome mahi that he's doing now here back in Aotearoa. Kia ora koutou wānau, welcome back to Te Ao Hākinakina. We're having an awesome kōrero here with Russ. Now, Russ, tell me about how much your culture means to you. I know it's front and centre of a lot of what you do now, and you've really, worked hard on this reconnection piece with your own whakapapa and getting back to your marae and being a part of different kaupapa. What does it mean to you, bro?
Yeah, well, it was never something that was, a central part of my life for the most part. And, I shared this with you, cuz when we got connected, it was always knew I was Māori, knew I fit in somewhere, but didn't know quite how. And I guess that's the beautiful thing about whakapapa, and I guess reconnecting to whānau and marae, hapu, and yeah, in the last few years, as I said, I've struggled, quite a lot of my life with drug and alcohol addictions and addictive behaviours in general. And a couple of years ago, I've been off all, abstained from everything, and during that time period, almost got a calling back to Te Ao Māori and whakapapa and I guess cultural reconnection's been a rongoa for me. It's been very healing. It's provided the I guess the vehicle for self-discovery and connection, which is at the that's at the forefront of most of our lives, and what we're here for is to connect with others and be the best version of ourselves for our whānau as we can. So yeah, that's kind of the journey that I've been on, cousin. It's taken me back home to Taranaki, and it's I guess because I'm very curious and inquisitive. It's just like kind of connecting the dots. It's like one of those drawings that if there's heaps of dots there, but you got to sit down and go from 1 to 2 and then 2 to 38 and then come back to 3, and that's kind of what whakapapa's like and reconnection. So it's been beautiful. I think the most beautiful thing too, cuz that I've I guess I'm really grateful for too is bringing my whānau, especially my papa, along for the ride. We just had Mokai Pāti Noi Tonu signed a agreement in principle down in Wellington, and my papa, my auntie Vanda, Big Russ was down there with the whānau, photo or tonga that we have in our whānau that they took down, and just things like that. It's if I wasn't on this kaupapa, moments like that wouldn't happen, and it just makes me grateful that that's the tangible and the benefits of following this path. It opens up your eyes to a different world, and you start seeing things in a different way. And I'm very grateful for my ability anyway to wholeheartedly follow my whakapapa and let it take me where it needs to.
Beautiful, beautiful. Love that. Yes, the power of whakapapa. It's very special. Now, you've also earned an MBA and moved into business and advocacy. What inspired that transition, and what's some advice you could give to young ones, that are pursuing sporting careers but need to be mindful that there's life after footy as well? What's some advice?
Yeah. Well, as I said, when I was 16, I just put all my eggs in rugby league basket, and that's just human nature. Like sometimes I think you got to go all in on things that you're truly passionate about. So I've always been taught you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And same with this stuff. Education finds you when you're ready, and if you're curious and open-minded. Especially within sports, like it sounds counterintuitive, but in order to be great and pursue those goals, something has to give, and things need to be sacrificed, whether that's education or other things right at the start. And I was, I think, just at my life stage after being released from jail, I went through a whole heap of educational programs, and I was just older. I started doing a undergraduate degree when I was 25 years old, got good marks, and kind of just found my way in an MBA program, really. Ben Cray had just recently retired and moved into the welfare manager role, education and welfare management role at the Dragons. And he said, Russ, he actually pulled me aside at training one day. He's like, Russ, University of Wollongong are offering our staff the opportunity to jump in and do a postgraduate certificate in business, which is essentially the precursor to an MBA. And I said, oh, hell yeah, I'll give it a crack, why not? Like, so long story short, they let me in. I'd done well there, and then I ended up transferring my studies to Australian Graduate School of Management, or the Business School of University of New South Wales over at UNSW. And I went through the executive MBA over there whilst I was playing. Proud to, be a graduate of AGSM in 2020. I graduated with my cohorts, so learnt a whole heap. It was quite interesting. I was playing NRL whilst doing an executive MBA, which most of my peers or most of my cohort that I went through were working in management roles in banks and construction companies, so they could apply quite a lot of our learnings. A lot of our course was applied learning, so we did a lot of live case studies and use what we were, being guided towards and in real world setting. So I was, I was kind of privileged too, because I got to do a lot of my assignments were based on NRL, the West Tigers, and so I got to not only play but then also understand why we do certain things, like go into the community and go and take rural games and play in different stadiums. And once you have more understanding, it was quite cool. So I was very lucky and very very privileged to be able to go to that university and have a master's degree whilst I was playing.
Well, definitely take my head off to you, cuz, like amazing mahi there, all while you're playing full-time footy. I don't know how you would have done it, but outstanding. So, hey, thanks for sharing your journey today on the show, from the highs of professional sport to the challenges and the incredible work that you're doing now, and the impact that you're making. Your story is a powerful reminder of growth and perseverance. And we wish you all the best, all nothing but the very best ahead. Looking forward to seeing you don a jersey down here at our local tournament next year, cuz. So looking forward to that. But it's awesome having you on the show.
No, thank you heaps, cuz. And just as a last message, appreciate our connection and you bring me on. And what I would say to any young, person pursuing their dreams is find something that you're passionate about. Find supportive people. Weed out the people that you don't need in your life, even though you're not going to make the best decision all the time. But just relentlessly follow your passion, and it'll lead you to where you need to be. That's the only advice that I'd have. And thank you heaps, cuz. I appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to seeing if the body can hold up and maybe get a little cameo. I think it's unlimited subs in the old multi-league tournament, so we'll see how we go.
There we have it, partner. There we have it. Mauri ora.